The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of light and dark. But what happens when something from beyond the stars arrives? A power that answers to neither the Jedi Code nor the Sith philosophy, drawn from dimensions the Force has never touched. Dr. Stephen Strange had faced demon lords, interdimensional tyrants, and the collapse of reality itself. He had bargained with Dormammu, wielded the Time Stone, and walked between universes as easily as others crossed streets. But this was different. The spell had been routine, a simple dimensional fold to investigate a temporal anomaly near the edge of the multiverse. Wong had warned him about the readings, about the unusual energy signatures that didn't match any known dimensional frequency. Strange had been confident, overconfident. The convergence hit like a supernova. Reality tore open, and Strange felt himself pulled through layer after layer of existence, through universes and timelines and spaces between spaces. His cloak of levitation whipped around him as dimensional barriers shredded past. He tried to anchor himself, tried to summon a portal back, but the sling ring sparked uselessly against his fingers. The energy here was wrong, alien in a way he'd never experienced. Then came the impact. He crashed through the transparasteel canopy of a landing platform on Coruscant, magical shields flaring instinctively as he tumbled across polished floors. Speeders swerved around him, their repulsor lifts humming. Strange pushed himself upright, breathing hard, and stared at a cityscape that stretched beyond comprehension. Towers piercing clouds, traffic streams flowing in organized chaos, thousands of levels deep, and overhead, a sky filled with ships that looked nothing like Earth technology. "Impossible," he whispered, but his hands were already moving, attempting diagnostic spells. The golden mandalas formed but flickered weakly. His connection to the Vishanti, to the dimensional energies he'd spent years mastering, felt muffled, distant, like trying to hear through water. Something else pressed against his awareness, an energy field that permeated everything, living, flowing, connecting. It wasn't the dimensional magic he knew, but it was power, raw and ancient. "You there, don't move." Clone troopers in white armor surrounded him, blasters raised. Strange's hands moved instinctively, shields materializing. The red-orange energy absorbed the first stun bolts easily. "Stand down," the lead trooper's voice carried authority. "Surrender, or we will use lethal force." Strange calculated rapidly. Unknown galaxy, unknown technology. His magic compromised. This wasn't the time for confrontation. He lowered his hands slowly, letting the shields dissipate. "I mean no harm. I'm lost." Within the hour, he sat in a stark holding cell, the cloak draped across his shoulders like a patient companion. Through the energy field containing him, not quite a force field, something more sophisticated, he could see Coruscant's endless sprawl. Ships came and went. Somewhere in this galaxy, there were answers. Somewhere, there was a way home. But first, he needed to understand where and when he'd landed. The door hissed open. Two figures entered, robed in earth tones, moving with serene confidence. One was humanoid with a high forehead and kind eyes. The other, smaller and green-skinned, leaned on a walking stick. Strange's mystical senses flared. These two radiated that same pervasive energy he'd felt earlier, but focused, controlled, powerful. "Dr. Stephen Strange," the taller one said, "the Force has brought you far from home. I am Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, and this," he gestured to his companion, "is Master Yoda. We have much to discuss." Strange stood slowly. In Yoda's ancient eyes, he saw wisdom that rivaled the Ancient One's. This wasn't going to be a simple interrogation. This was going to be a test. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Jedi Temple's council chamber rose like a monument to contemplation, circular and vast, with tall windows offering views of Coruscant's endless expanse. 12 seats arranged in a perfect circle, but only 7 were occupied. The Clone Wars had scattered the order across the galaxy. Strange stood at the center, acutely aware of every gaze upon him. His analytical mind catalogued details, the way they sat in meditation postures, the cylindrical weapons at their belts, the absolute calm that radiated from them. That energy, the one he'd sensed earlier, flowed through this chamber like an invisible river. Master Yoda studied him with unsettling intensity. From beyond the stars, you come. Feel it. We do. A disturbance in the Force. Your arrival was. The Force, Strange repeated. He'd caught the term from the troopers' chatter, from fragments of conversation during transport. That's what you call it. The energy field connecting everything in this galaxy. Mace Windu leaned forward, his dark eyes sharp. You can sense the Force? I can sense power. Strange met his gaze steadily. In my universe, I'm what's called a sorcerer. I manipulate dimensional energies, draw upon mystical forces to reshape reality. But here, he raised his hand, attempting to form a complex mandala. The golden light sputtered, barely holding shape before dissolving. My connection to those energies is severely compromised. Obi-Wan Kenobi stroked his beard thoughtfully. Fascinating. You speak of dimensions and universes as if they're places one can simply travel between. Because they are. Strange lowered his hand. I've walked through the dark dimension, the mirror dimension, the astral plane. I've navigated 14 million possible futures. But this galaxy, your reality, it operates on fundamentally different principles. Plo Koon's masked voice carried curiosity rather than suspicion. Yet you arrived here through magical means. Could this not be simply another expression of the Force? Strange considered that. The Ancient One had taught him that magic was simply science humanity didn't yet understand. Perhaps the Force was this universe's manifestation of the multiversal energy he'd spent years studying. Possibly. Your Force feels similar to mystical energy, but it's bound to life itself, organic. My magic drew from external dimensions. Drew? Kit Fisto caught the past tense. You speak as if that's changed. Because it has. Strange's jaw tightened. The dimensional barriers between my universe and yours have sealed behind me. I can feel traces of my former power, but it's like trying to hear a whisper through a wall. To function here, I'll need to adapt. To learn your Force, if you're willing to teach me. The council exchanged glances. Strange read the concern in their expressions. They sensed something in him that troubled them. Yoda's ears twitched. Much power in you there is, but unclear. Your path remains. Light and dark, both we sense. Walk between them. You do. I walk the path that's necessary. Strange's voice carried an edge. I've used techniques others would call forbidden because the alternative was extinction. I've bargained with demons, manipulated time itself, sacrificed pieces of my soul to save billions. If that makes me morally gray in your eyes, so be it. Mace Windu's expression hardened. The Jedi do not compromise with darkness. The dark side corrupts all who touch it. In my experience, power itself isn't corrupting. Strange held his ground. Intent matters. Wisdom matters. I've seen good people do terrible things with the noblest intentions, and I've seen darkness wielded for righteous purposes. The universe isn't so cleanly divided. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Ki Adimundi spoke carefully. Such philosophy is dangerous, Dr. Strange. The Sith believe similarly, that the Force is merely a tool, that ends justify means. Then perhaps, Strange said quietly, you should ask yourselves why your absolutes keep producing enemies who reject them. Yoda closed his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice carried weight that pressed against Strange's senses like gravity. A test we must conduct. See into your heart we must. Determine if trust you, we can. Strange nodded slowly. He'd expected this. What kind of test? Meditation, Obi-Wan said. You'll lower your mental defenses and allow us to examine your spirit through the Force. If your intentions are pure, we'll know. Strange's instincts screamed warning. Let unknown entities into his mind. After everything with Thanos, with Wanda's chaos magic, with the countless psychic threats he'd faced. But he was stranded, powerless, and these Jedi were his best chance at understanding this galaxy. Agreed, he said. But fair warning, my mind has defenses you've never encountered. Yoda's eyes opened, ancient and knowing. Prepared for that, we are. The meditation chamber was smaller, more intimate. Soft light filtered through crystalline panels, casting prismatic patterns across polished floors. Strange sat cross-legged facing Yoda, with Mace Windu and Obi-Wan positioned at angles forming a triangle. The air thrummed with potential. Clear your mind, Yoda instructed. Resistance do not offer. Into the Force, release yourself. Strange had meditated for years under the Ancient One's tutelage. He knew how to center himself, how to open his consciousness to external energies. But this felt different. As he relaxed his mental barriers, he felt the Jedi's presence pressing against his thoughts. Not invasive, but insistent. Gentle pressure seeking entry. He let them in. Images flashed through the connection. The accident that destroyed his hands. Kamar Taj and the Ancient One's teachings. The battle against Caecilius. Dormammu's dark dimension. The time loop. Dying thousands of times to save Earth. Titan, watching futures collapse into dust. The final battle against Thanos. Yoda gasped softly. Strange felt the Jedi Master's shock ripple through their connection. So much loss, Obi-Wan whispered. So much sacrifice. But Mace Windu's presence sharpened like a blade. Strange felt him probing deeper, searching for corruption, for darkness. The Jedi Master found the moments Strange preferred to forget, using the Darkhold, breaking natural laws, the times he'd walked ethical lines so fine they barely existed. There, Windu's voice cut through the meditation. You've touched forbidden powers, repeatedly. Strange opened his eyes, breathing carefully. I've done what was necessary. Necessary? Windu's hand moved near his lightsaber. You've bargained with entities of pure evil. You've manipulated time itself, risking universal collapse. You've used dark magic, knowing the cost. And I've saved 2 universes doing it. Strange stood slowly, the cloak rippling with his movement. Yes, I've made compromises. Yes, I've used powers others feared. But I'm still here, still fighting, still protecting people. That's what matters. Obi-Wan raised a placating hand. Peace, Master Windu. His heart is genuine. I sense no malice in him, no desire for domination. But arrogance, Yoda said quietly. Great arrogance we sense. Believe yourself beyond consequences, you do. Strange felt frustration building. I've lived consequences. Every spell has a price. Every choice echoes. I know that better than anyone. Yet still, rules you break. Yoda's gaze penetrated. Still, believe your wisdom surpasses others. Dangerous such thinking is. The path to the dark side, it begins. The dark side. Strange crossed his arms. You keep mentioning it like it's an absolute corruption. But from what I saw in your minds just now, yes, it works both ways. Your order has its own shadows, rigidity, emotional suppression, children taken from families and taught never to form attachments. That doesn't sound like enlightenment to me. Mace Windu stood, his presence radiating authority. You've been here mere hours and presume to judge an order spanning millennia. I judge what I see. Strange's voice remained calm. You're fighting a war, stretched across 1,000 systems. While your political masters grow more authoritarian by the day, I sensed it in Obi-Wan's memories. Doubt, concern, fear that the Republic you're defending isn't worth saving anymore. Obi-Wan's expression flickered. The war has complicated matters. Complicated? Strange shook his head. Your Chancellor has been granted emergency powers that would make any dictator envious. Your clone army, sentient beings bred for war with inhibitor chips in their heads, serves without question. And you sense nothing wrong with this? The silence stretched. Strange could feel their discomfort, their awareness that his observations cut too close to truths they'd been avoiding. Finally, Yoda spoke. See clearly, you do. Perhaps too clearly. Blind us, involvement has. But dangerous still, your methods remain. Then teach me yours. Strange softened his tone. I need to understand the Force if I'm going to survive here. And maybe, he glanced at each of them, maybe an outsider's perspective could help you see solutions you've missed. Mace Windu's jaw worked. You ask us to train someone who openly admits to using dark powers? I ask you to trust that wisdom isn't exclusive to those who follow your rules. Strange met his gaze evenly. The Ancient One taught me that the universe has mysteries beyond any single philosophy. Your Force is one of them. Let me learn it. Let me help you. And if I prove myself corrupt, he spread his hands. You have a dozen warriors who can stop me. Obi-Wan looked to Yoda. The ancient master's eyes were closed, his breathing slow and rhythmic. The Force swirled through the chamber, and Strange felt it touching him, examining him, weighing him. A trial period, Yoda said finally. Learn our ways, you will, but watched closely, you shall be. One misstep. Understood. Strange bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. I won't let you down. As they filed out, Obi-Wan paused beside him. For what it's worth, Dr. Strange, I hope you're right. The galaxy could use someone who sees clearly right now. Strange watched Coruscant's traffic streams through the window. Somewhere in this vast galaxy, there was a way home. But first, he needed to master an entirely new form of magic, and perhaps prevent a catastrophe he'd glimpsed in Obi-Wan's unguarded thoughts. A shadow named Palpatine. The Jedi archives stretched beyond comprehension, crystalline data towers rising through multiple levels, holographic displays floating like captured stars, and knowledge spanning thousands of generations. Strange moved through the stacks with Jocasta Nu, the chief librarian, whose sharp eyes missed nothing. Your reading speed is remarkable, she observed as Strange absorbed text from a holocron at what seemed impossible velocity. Most students take weeks to pass ancient Jedi philosophy. Photographic memory. Strange didn't look up from the swirling blue projection. And I've studied mystical texts in 100 dead languages. Your basic is remarkably straightforward by comparison. 3 weeks had passed since his arrival. 3 weeks of meditation, study, and frustrating attempts to connect with the Force. He could sense it, that vast energy field binding all life. But accessing it felt like trying to grab water. His mystic arts had relied on precise gestures, incantations, drawing power from specific dimensional sources. The Force required something different: surrender, trust, concepts that didn't come naturally. You're approaching this like a science, Jocasta Nu said. The Force isn't something to be solved, Doctor. Everything can be solved. Strange finally looked at her. It's just a matter of understanding the underlying principles, she smiled faintly. Arrogance wrapped in intelligence. I've seen this before in Padawans. It never ends well. Before Strange could respond, the archive's atmosphere shifted. He felt it before he saw it, a presence that moved like smoke through shadow, powerful and deliberately controlled. A figure emerged from between the data towers, tall and elegant, with a curved lightsaber at his belt and eyes that held centuries of practiced deception. Count Dooku. Strange's hands moved instinctively toward defensive positions. He'd seen this face in Obi-Wan's memories during the meditation, the Jedi Master who'd fallen, who now led the separatist movement tearing the Republic apart. "Peace, Dr. Strange." Dooku's voice was cultured, refined. "I'm here under diplomatic truce. The archives remain neutral ground, even in times of war." Jocasta Nu's posture stiffened. "Count Dooku, the Council will be informed of your presence immediately. I'm certain they're already aware." Dooku's attention fixed on Strange with unsettling intensity. "I came specifically to meet our dimensional traveler. Your arrival has created quite a stir among those who pay attention to such things." "Among Sith, you mean?" Strange kept his voice level. "Among pragmatists." Dooku stepped closer, his presence radiating controlled power. "The Jedi have told you their truth, that power must be restrained, that emotion leads to corruption, that absolute adherence to their code is the only path. But you know better, don't you? You've walked between light and darkness. You've used forbidden powers for righteous ends. I've made difficult choices." Strange's mystical senses analyzed Dooku's energy signature. The force around him was different, passionate, aggressive, but not chaotic. This was controlled darkness. "That doesn't make me Sith." "No," Dooku smiled. "It makes you honest. Tell me, Doctor, in your universe, when you faced extinction, did you limit yourself to approved methods? Did you refuse to use the Darkhold because some authority deemed it forbidden?" Strange's jaw tightened. How did Dooku know about the Darkhold? "I've seen your memories." Dooku tapped his temple. "The moment you lowered your barriers for the Council's meditation, you broadcast yourself across the Force, to anyone sensitive enough to listen. Your desperation on Titan, the time loop torturing you eternally, the dark magic you've channeled. You're not a Jedi, Strange. You're something far more practical. And you want to recruit me?" Strange crossed his arms. "Use my knowledge, my abilities, for your separatist cause. I want to offer you perspective." Dooku's expression grew serious. "The Republic is corrupt. The Jedi are blind to it, chained to political masters who view them as weapons rather than peacekeepers. I was once like them, idealistic, devoted, naive. Then I learned the truth. The Sith philosophy isn't about evil, Doctor. It's about freedom, power through passion, strength through understanding reality as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. Freedom through tyranny." Strange gestured toward the archive's windows, toward the galaxy beyond. "Your droid armies burn worlds. Your separatist movement has killed billions. War is tragic necessity." Dooku's voice carried genuine regret. "The Republic will not relinquish its corruption peacefully. Sometimes destruction precedes rebirth." Strange had heard similar arguments before. Thanos had believed annihilation served life. Caecilius had thought merging with Dormammu would end death itself. Every tyrant wrapped their ambitions in noble language. "Your master," Strange said quietly. "Darth Sidious. Where is he in this noble philosophy?" Dooku's expression flickered. Just a moment, barely perceptible, but Strange caught it. Fear, resentment, and something else. Resignation. "My master understands the galaxy's true nature," Dooku said carefully. "He sees paths others cannot. He's using you." Strange stepped forward. "I don't need Force sensitivity to recognize manipulation. You think you're working toward galactic transformation, but you're a pawn. Just like the Jedi are pawns to their Chancellor. Perhaps." Dooku's honesty was surprising, but a pawn with agency is still making choices. "Tell me, Doctor, when you return home, will you report to your masters, follow their rules, or will you do what's necessary, regardless of their approval?" The question hung in the air. Strange thought of Wong, of Kamartaj's ancient traditions, of the oaths he'd sworn and subsequently broken whenever reality demanded it. "I protect people," Strange said finally. "That's my only loyalty." "Then we're not so different." Dooku produced a small data chip. "When you grow tired of Jedi limitations, and you will, this contains coordinates, a place where questions are answered without moral platitudes, where power is studied rather than feared." He placed the chip on a nearby terminal and stepped back. "I hope we meet again, Dr. Strange. This galaxy needs people who see clearly." Dooku vanished into the archive's shadows, his presence fading like dissipating smoke. Strange stared at the data chip, his mind racing through possibilities and implications. Jocasta Nu broke the silence. "Don't even consider it. Whatever he's offering is poison." Strange picked up the chip, examining it. "Knowledge isn't inherently corrupting." "No," she said sadly, "but the desire for it certainly can be." The holocron chamber was forbidden to all but masters. Strange stood before it anyway, past midnight, when the temple slept and security patrols passed at predictable intervals. The cloak had made entry simple, gliding silently through ventilation shafts, phasing through sensor fields with mystical properties the security system couldn't detect. He told himself this was research, necessary understanding. The Jedi had shared their philosophy, but they deliberately withheld certain knowledge. The holocrons, sealed behind crystalline barriers, contained truths they deemed too dangerous for outsiders. Truths Strange needed if he was going to adapt his magic to this galaxy. The Sith holocron sat on a separate pedestal, encased in force suppression fields that hummed with containment energy. Its design was stark, angular and red, pulsing with malevolent purpose. Strange had read about these devices in the archives, knowledge repositories created by dark-side practitioners, sealed with techniques the Jedi could never replicate. Opening one required touching the dark side itself. Strange extended his hand, reaching through the Force as Obi-Wan had taught him. He'd made progress these past weeks. Small movements, sensing emotions, basic telekinesis. But this required something different. He thought of his anger at the accident that destroyed his surgical career, his rage during the time loop, dying repeatedly while Dormammu laughed, the cold fury he'd felt facing Thanos, knowing half the universe would die. The holocron responded. Energy crackled across its surface. The containment field flickered, recognizing dark side resonance. The holocron opened, projecting a figure, tall, masked, ancient. The voice that emerged was dry as tomb dust. "You are not Jedi," it observed, "nor fully Sith. Interesting. I'm a student of mystical arts from another dimension." Strange kept his voice steady. "I need to understand how Force users manipulate reality. The Jedi version is incomplete." "Of course it is." The figure's laugh was bitter. "The Jedi fear power. They preach restraint, teach pupils to deny their strongest emotions, their deepest passions. They create warriors afraid of their own potential. And the Sith embrace power without restraint." Strange had studied enough philosophy to recognize false dichotomies, which leads to self-destruction. "I've seen it." "Perceptive." The holocron's gatekeeper tilted its head. "You understand the flaw in both philosophies. The Jedi's weakness is their rigidity. The Sith's is their chaos. But you seek balance without calling it such." Strange absorbed the holocron's teachings rapidly. Techniques for channeling raw emotion into Force power, methods for breaking through limitations the Jedi considered absolute. Applications of the Force the Council would never teach, lightning, life-draining, reality manipulation that bordered on sorcery. "Your dimensional magic," the gatekeeper said, "it resembles ancient Sith alchemy. We too bent reality through will and knowledge. Show me." Strange attempted a complex mandala. The golden light formed more solidly now. Weeks of meditation had attuned him slightly to this galaxy's energy. But it still flickered, unstable. "The problem is your approach." The holocron's image leaned forward. You draw power externally, from dimensions now sealed to you. But the Force is everywhere, in you, around you, connecting all things. Stop trying to pull from absent sources. Instead, let the Force flow through you. Channel it as you once channeled dimensional energy. Strange tried again. This time, instead of reaching for the Vishanti or the Seraphim, he reached for the Force itself, the vast field of energy permeating the galaxy. He felt it respond, flowing into the familiar patterns of his spell work. The mandala solidified, burning bright and stable. Yes, satisfaction colored the gatekeeper's voice. You learn quickly. With the right instruction, you could surpass even the most powerful Jedi. Their self-imposed limitations don't bind you. The right instruction meaning Sith teaching. Strange let the mandala dissolve. And the price? Corruption? Gradual erosion of conscience until I'm another tyrant justifying atrocities. Only if you're weak. The holocron pulsed. The dark side doesn't corrupt. It reveals. It strips away pretense and shows what you truly desire. If those desires are monstrous, that's your nature, not the Force's fault. But if your will is strong enough, if your purpose is clear, you can wield darkness without becoming it. Strange thought of the Ancient One, who'd drawn from the dark dimension for centuries, yet remained devoted to protecting Earth. She'd broken her own rules, used forbidden power, and still died heroic. It was possible to touch darkness without drowning in it, wasn't it? Footsteps. The cloak tugged at his shoulder, alert. Strange closed the holocron quickly, watching it seal and return to dormancy. He moved toward the shadows, preparing to leave the way he'd entered. The door hissed open. Anakin Skywalker stood silhouetted against corridor light, lightsaber ignited, blue blade humming. I knew someone was in here. The young Jedi Knight stepped forward, his presence blazing in the Force, powerful, volatile, barely contained. The security system registered a fluctuation. What were you doing with the Sith holocron? Strange calculated his options. Anakin was the chosen one, according to Jedi prophecy. Powerful but impulsive. Exactly the wrong person to discover this transgression. Research, Strange said calmly. Understanding how Sith techniques might relate to my dimensional magic. By stealing into a forbidden chamber, Anakin's grip tightened on his lightsaber. The Council trusted you. Obi-Wan vouched for you. And I'm proving trustworthy by expanding my knowledge. Strange didn't retreat. Tell me, Anakin, have you never questioned whether the Council keeps secrets they shouldn't? Whether some forbidden knowledge might actually be useful? Anakin's expression flickered. Strange glimpsed conflict in the young man's eyes. Doubt, curiosity, resentment toward authority. This was someone who understood the appeal of breaking rules. The dark side corrupts everyone who touches it, Anakin said, but his conviction wavered. That's not dogma. It's truth proven across millennia. Is it? Strange gestured toward the holocron. Or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? You tell students not to explore certain knowledge, so only those already inclined toward darkness seek it out, which reinforces your belief that the knowledge itself is corrupting. You don't understand what you're playing with. Anakin stepped closer. I've felt the dark side's pull. It's seductive, powerful. It makes you believe you're in control even as it consumes you. Strange heard genuine fear in Anakin's voice, and something else, personal experience. This young Jedi had touched darkness himself. Then help me understand, Strange said. Instead of reporting this to the Council, teach me what you know. Your perspective, not theirs. We're both practitioners who've bent rules when necessary. Anakin studied him for a long moment. The lightsaber remained ignited, but the tension gradually eased. The Council can't know about this, Anakin said finally. They're already suspicious of you. If they knew you'd opened a Sith holocron. They'd exile me. Strange nodded. Or worse. So this stays between us. And you stop breaking into forbidden chambers. Strange smiled slightly. I make no promises, but I'll be more careful. Anakin deactivated his lightsaber. I must be crazy for not reporting this. Not crazy, Strange said. Just someone who recognizes that absolute rules don't serve absolute reality. As they left the chamber together, Strange felt the data chip Dooku had given him, still hidden in his pocket. Knowledge from 3 sources now: Jedi, Sith, and his own mystic traditions. He was beginning to understand how the Force worked, how to merge it with his sorcery. But understanding came with danger. He could feel the dark side's whisper, promising easier paths, stronger power. The Ancient One's warning echoed in his mind. We never lose our demons. We only learn to live above them. He hoped he could remember that. The Battle of Ryloth erupted like a supernova across 3 moons, and a planetary surface caught between Republic liberation and Separatist occupation. Strange stood aboard a Venator-class Star Destroyer, watching through viewport windows as turbo-laser fire painted space in violent colors. The Republic fleet pressed forward against Separatist frigates, while below, clone battalions engaged droid armies across Ryloth's canyons and settlements. Obi-Wan Kenobi moved beside him, coordinating with Admiral Yularen. Their blockade is stronger than intelligence suggested. We'll need to punch through their center line to deploy ground forces effectively. Strange had volunteered for this mission despite the Council's hesitation. 3 months in the Star Wars galaxy, and he'd yet to truly test his adapted abilities in combat. His magic had stabilized. Force energy channeled through mystic arts techniques created effects neither purely Jedi nor Sith. It was something new, something potentially dangerous. Their tactical droid is predictable, Strange observed, watching the enemy formation. They're concentrating fire on your flagship, assuming standard Republic doctrine. But if we create a diversion, an explosion rocked the destroyer. Alarms shrieked as hull breaches vented atmosphere. Clone troopers scrambled to damage control stations. Vulture droids breached our fighter screen. Yularen's hands flew across tactical displays. Portside hangar is compromised. Strange felt it through the Force. Republic pilots dying as their starfighters exploded. Clone troopers suffocating in vacuum. Metal screaming as it tore. Every death registered like a needle against his enhanced senses. I can help. Strange moved toward the hangar bay before Obi-Wan could object. The scene was chaos. Fire suppression systems battled plasma blazes. Vulture droids strafed through the massive opening, their twin blasters cutting down anyone exposed. Clone pilots scattered, returning fire with handheld weapons, completely outgunned. Strange's hands moved through practiced patterns. The golden mandalas of his mystic arts formed, but infused now with Force energy. They blazed brighter than ever before, solidifying into shields that deflected incoming fire. The cloak spread wide, protecting 3 clone troopers as blaster bolts sparked harmlessly against mystical barriers. What the? One trooper stared. Sir, what are you? Someone who bends rules. Strange thrust both hands forward. The crimson bands of Sitarak, a spell he'd used countless times on Earth, manifested differently here. Instead of pure mystical energy, they channeled the Force itself, becoming glowing orange restraints that wrapped around a vulture droid mid-flight. He yanked downward. The droid slammed into the hangar deck with satisfying crunch. 2 more droids pivoted toward him. Strange gestured in a circular pattern, drawing from techniques the Sith holocron had shown him. The Force responded to his anger, his protective fury for the soldiers dying around him. Lightning crackled from his fingertips, not the random electricity of Sith rage, but controlled energy shaped by years of mystical discipline. The lightning arced between droids, overloading their circuits. They dropped, smoking. Impossible, a clone captain breathed. Jedi can't do that. Not like that. Strange opened a sling ring portal, the technique finally working consistently by routing through the Force rather than dimensional pathways. The portal's edge sliced through a vulture droid's wing as it passed through the hangar opening. The droid spiraled away, disabled. "Close the blast doors!" Strange shouted. Clone engineers scrambled to comply. Massive durasteel barriers began sliding shut, but 3 more droids screamed through the narrowing gap. Strange moved his hands in complex patterns, merging multiple spell techniques. Astral projection allowed his consciousness to split, perceiving from multiple angles simultaneously. Force precognition showed him where the droids would fire. Mystical shields absorbed impacts, while he channeled offensive spells through openings in his defense. It was intoxicating, power flowing through him like nothing he'd felt since arriving in this galaxy. The Force amplified his magic, and his magic gave the Force new forms. He was neither Jedi nor Sith. He was something unprecedented. The last vulture droid exploded under a focused blast of mystically enhanced Force energy. The hangar fell silent except for crackling fires and labored breathing. Clone troopers stared at him. Strange saw fear in some eyes, awe in others, calculation in a few. He'd revealed more than the Council wanted anyone to see. "Status report," Obi-Wan's voice carried through comlinks. "Hangar Bay, what's your situation?" The clone captain hesitated, glancing at Strange. "Threat neutralized, General. Dr. Strange handled it." A pause. "I'll be there momentarily." Strange helped injured clones to their feet using minor healing spells, another technique Jedi typically couldn't manage. His medical background merged with Force sensitivity to accelerate cellular repair. Not miraculous healing, but enough to stabilize critical wounds until proper medical attention arrived. When Obi-Wan arrived, his expression was carefully neutral, but Strange felt his concern through their Force bond. The Jedi Master had sensed everything. The anger Strange had channeled, the techniques that bordered on dark side application, the unprecedented merger of mystical and Force abilities. "Walk with me," Obi-Wan said quietly. They moved to an observation deck overlooking the battle. The Separatist blockade was breaking, Republic forces gaining ground. Victory seemed imminent. "What you did back there," Obi-Wan began carefully, "used techniques the Council would consider forbidden. Force lightning, aggressive channeling, emotional fuel. That's not the Jedi way. It saved lives." Strange met his gaze. 37 clone troopers would be dead if I'd limited myself to approved methods. And how many more might die if you lose control? Obi-Wan's voice carried genuine worry, not condemnation. "I've seen this pattern, Strange. Gifted individuals convinced their power makes them wise enough to break rules. It never ends well. I'm not Anakin." Strange caught Obi-Wan's flicker of surprise. "Yes, I know about his struggles. I know he walks a knife's edge between light and dark. But I'm different. I've already faced my darkness. I've already made my choices and lived with consequences. I'm not naive about what power costs. That's what concerns me." Obi-Wan turned toward the viewport. "You believe you've mastered darkness, but darkness is patient. It waits for the moment you're certain you're in control, then shows you how wrong you were." Strange considered that. The Ancient One had drawn from the dark dimension and maintained control for centuries, but she'd also admitted the constant struggle, the daily choice to serve rather than dominate. Perhaps that was the truth, not that darkness could be mastered, but that the battle never truly ended. "I'll be careful," Strange said finally. "Will you?" Obi-Wan faced him. "Or will you continue breaking into forbidden archives, opening Sith holocrons, learning techniques designed to corrupt?" Strange's stomach dropped. "Anakin told you." "Anakin keeps secrets poorly when guilty," Obi-Wan sighed. "I haven't reported this to the Council yet. But Strange, you need to understand, this path you're walking, trying to merge light and dark, Jedi and Sith techniques, your magic with the Force, it's dangerous territory. The galaxy has seen beings attempt this balance before. They all eventually fell. Maybe they fell because everyone told them it was impossible. Strange's voice hardened. Maybe the constant expectation of failure created self-fulfilling prophecy. Or maybe, Obi-Wan said gently, they fell because it genuinely is impossible. Because darkness corrupts no matter how strong you think you are. The comlink interrupted further discussion. Mace Windu's voice crackled through. Ground assault commencing. All Jedi to the surface. Dr. Strange, the Council requests you remain aboard the ship. Strange and Obi-Wan exchanged looks. The message was clear. The Council didn't trust him in further combat. What he'd done in the hangar had crossed too many lines. Understood, Obi-Wan replied. To Strange, he said quietly, they're afraid of you, of what you represent. A threat? Strange asked bitterly. A question they can't answer. Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. May the Force be with you, Strange. I hope you find the balance you seek. I truly do. As Obi-Wan left for the surface, Strange stood alone watching the battle. He'd saved lives today, used power effectively, creatively, but he'd also revealed himself as something the galaxy didn't know how to categorize. Neither Jedi nor Sith, neither light nor dark. Perhaps something far more dangerous, someone who refused to be defined by either. The summons came 3 days after Ryloth. Strange stood before the full Jedi Council, all 12 seats occupied now, Masters having returned from distant campaigns specifically for this session. The circular chamber felt smaller, more oppressive. Every gaze upon him carried judgment. Mace Windu spoke first, his voice measured but firm. Dr. Strange, this council has shown you considerable patience. We welcomed you despite reservations. We offered training, access to our archives, trust. You have repaid that trust with repeated violations. I saved 37 lives at Ryloth, Strange countered. Using dark side techniques, Windu's expression hardened. We have reports of Force lightning, aggressive channeling through anger, mystical abilities that manipulate the Force in ways fundamentally contrary to Jedi philosophy. Clone troopers witnessed you demonstrating powers that blur the line between light and dark. Ki-Adi-Mundi leaned forward. We also discovered your unauthorized entry into the holocron chambers. Anakin Skywalker confirmed you opened a Sith holocron, studied forbidden knowledge, deliberately concealed your actions. Anakin sat in the corner, guilt etched across his face. Strange didn't blame him. The Council had ways of extracting truth from conflicted Padawans. The knowledge wasn't forbidden in my universe, Strange said. I approached it as research, understanding different philosophical perspectives on power. That's what scholars do. You are not a scholar. Plo Koon's masked voice carried disappointment. You are a practitioner, actively merging techniques designed to corrupt with abilities we've spent millennia refining. You've created something unprecedented and potentially catastrophic. Yoda closed his eyes, his presence in the Force radiating sadness. Warned you we did. Told you balance between light and dark, impossible it is. Yet persisted you have. Believed yourself wiser than generations of masters. I believed absolutes rarely reflect reality. Strange kept his voice calm despite mounting frustration. You've divided the Force into artificial categories, light and dark, Jedi and Sith, when the truth is more complex. Power is neutral. Intent and wisdom determine how it's used. Precisely what every fallen Jedi has claimed. Mace Windu stood. Before Dooku turned, he said similar things. Before Exar Kun fell, he believed he could study Sith techniques without corruption. Before Revan embraced darkness, he convinced himself pragmatism justified any method. You follow a well-worn path to damnation, Strange. Or I'm the first to walk this path successfully. Strange's patience frayed. You're so convinced of failure that you refuse to consider alternatives. The Sith fall because they're consumed by passion without discipline. The Jedi stagnate because they fear any emotion deeper than serene detachment. I represent neither extreme. You represent chaos. Windu's hand moved to his lightsaber. The Force is already in turmoil. The Clone Wars strain the galaxy's balance. We cannot permit another variable that might tip everything toward darkness. Strange felt the shift in the room's atmosphere. This wasn't just a trial. It was a verdict already decided. "You're going to exile me," he said quietly, "or imprison me, or execute me if you consider me threat enough." "Exile," Obi-Wan said, his voice heavy with regret. "You'll be escorted to a neutral system with resources to survive. But you cannot remain in Republic space. Your presence destabilizes everything we're trying to protect." How convenient. Strange's anger finally surfaced. Exile the outsider, asking uncomfortable questions. Maintain your dogmatic purity while the galaxy burns. Tell me, Masters, how's that working? Because from where I stand, you're losing this war. Your Republic crumbles daily. Your political masters accumulate authoritarian power, and you remain blind to the real threat. Enlighten us. Mace Windu's tone dripped with challenge. What threat do you perceive that 12 Jedi Masters cannot? Strange hesitated. Should he share his suspicions about Palpatine? The glimpses he'd caught in Obi-Wan's memories, the connections forming in his analytical mind. But he had no proof, and after this confrontation, they'd never believe him. "Never mind," Strange said. "You've made your decision. When do I leave?" "Immediately," Windu said. "Anakin will escort you to—" The chamber doors burst open. A clone captain rushed in, his white armor scorched and damaged. "Masters, urgent report from Coruscant's lower levels. Something's attacked the industrial sector. Energy signatures unlike anything we've encountered. Casualties mounting." The council exchanged glances. Kit Fisto spoke quickly. "What kind of energy signatures?" "Dimensional." The captain's voice shook. "That's what the scientists are calling it. Tears in reality itself. They're asking for Dr. Strange. They think it's related to his arrival." Strange's mystical senses flared. He felt it now, a distortion in the Force, exactly like the convergence that had pulled him into this galaxy. Another dimensional breach, possibly something following him through. "Take me there," Strange said immediately. "You are in no position to make demands," Mace Windu began. "It's my fault." Strange cut him off. "If something came through because of my arrival, I'm responsible. Let me fix this." Yoda's eyes opened. "Feel it, I do. A wound in the Force, growing, spreading, related to Dr. Strange's presence. It is." The council deliberated silently through the Force. Strange felt their conflict, suspicion warring with necessity. Finally, Obi-Wan spoke. "He knows dimensional phenomena better than any of us. Whatever this is, he's our best chance at understanding it." "Fine." Mace Windu's jaw clenched. "But you're under guard. One wrong move, Strange, and we end this permanently." They descended into Coruscant's lower levels, where sunlight never reached and machinery hummed eternally. The industrial sector was in chaos. Workers fleeing, structures collapsing, and at the epicenter, reality itself was breaking. A rift hung in midair, crackling with energies that made Strange's mystical senses scream. Through it, he glimpsed something that shouldn't exist. Fragments of other dimensions bleeding through, timelines collapsing, the multiverse pressing against this galaxy's reality like water against a crumbling dam. "What is that?" Anakin stared, his hand on his lightsaber as if a blade could cut dimensional anomalies. "A convergence point." Strange's mind raced. "When I arrived, I tore a hole between universes. I thought it sealed, but it didn't. It's been weakening the dimensional barriers. Now they're collapsing." "Can you close it?" Obi-Wan asked. Strange studied the rift, calculating trajectories, energy flows, The precise mystical mathematics required. Yes, but it requires techniques you've forbidden me from using. Dark side channeling combined with dimensional magic. Emotional fuel married to precise control. Everything you've condemned me for. Mace Windu's expression became stone. You're saying the only way to fix your mistake is by proving our concerns correct? I'm saying reality doesn't care about your philosophy. Strange stepped toward the rift. I conceal this, but you need to trust me. Completely. No interference, no judgment. Just let me work. The rift pulsed, expanding. A building collapsed as dimensional stress fractured its foundation. Screams echoed from deeper levels. Yoda spoke quietly. Do what you must. Save lives first. Philosophy, debate later we shall. Mace Windu looked ready to argue, but another expansion of the rift silenced him. Make this right, Strange, or I'll make sure you never get the chance to cause more damage. Strange nodded grimly. He'd asked for trust. Now he'd have to prove himself while the council watched, ready to strike him down if he showed any sign of falling. No pressure at all. Strange stood before the rift, feeling its pull like gravity. The cloak rippled nervously around his shoulders, sensing danger. Behind him, the Jedi maintained a perimeter, lightsabers ignited, ready to intervene if he lost control. Clone troopers evacuated civilians from collapsing structures while reality continued tearing itself apart. He closed his eyes, centering himself. The Ancient One's lessons echoed through memory. We draw power from the source that answers. Sometimes that source is darkness. The question isn't where power comes from, but what you do with it. Strange reached into the Force, feeling its vast presence, but he also reached beyond it, toward the dimensional energies bleeding through the rift, toward the mystical pathways he'd spent years mastering. He needed both, the Force to anchor him in this reality, his mystic arts to manipulate dimensional barriers. Seraphim and Vishanti, he whispered, beginning the incantation. Golden light erupted from his hands, forming intricate mandalas, but the spell faltered. Too much distance between dimensions, insufficient power. He needed more. The dark side whispered, use anger, use fear, channel passion into strength. Strange thought of everyone who'd die if he failed. Clone troopers with names like Fives and Rex and Echo, individuals, not numbers. Civilians crushed under collapsing infrastructure. The galaxy destabilized by dimensional chaos spreading from this point. His anger ignited, not rage, but focused fury at the injustice of innocent death. The Force responded, flooding through him with intensity that made his previous attempts feel like candlelight. The mandalas blazed crimson gold, merging light and dark in patterns that shouldn't exist. Strange! Mace Windu's warning cut through his concentration. You're channeling too much dark side energy. I know what I'm doing. Strange's voice carried harmonics that weren't entirely human. Power coursed through him, reshaping reality according to his will. The rift began collapsing, dimensional barriers knitting together under his mystical surgery. But the convergence fought back. Something on the other side wanted through. Strange felt its presence, not malevolent, but desperate. A consciousness trapped between dimensions, drawn by his initial arrival, seeking escape. There's something alive in there, Anakin said, his Force sensitivity detecting it. It's trying to break through. Strange saw it now, a figure materializing in the rift's center, humanoid, but wrong, its form shifting between states of existence. A dimensional traveler like himself, but one who'd been trapped in the space between realities for what might have been centuries. The entity reached toward him. Strange felt its plea. Help me, free me, I'm lost between worlds. Don't touch it, Obi-Wan shouted. If it's been in the dimensional void that long, it could be corrupted beyond recognition. Strange hesitated. Save the entity and risk unleashing something potentially catastrophic. or seal the rift completely, trapping it for eternity. The choice crystallized in seconds. He was Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, sworn to protect all innocent life. If this being could be saved. He reached into the rift. Pain exploded through his consciousness. The entity's desperation washed over him. Centuries of isolation, madness clawing at sanity's edges, identity fragmenting across infinite possible timelines. It grabbed onto Strange like a drowning man clutching a lifeline, pulling, consuming, merging. No! Strange's astral form projected outward, creating separation between himself and the entity. He saw it clearly now, not evil, just broken, shattered by dimensional trauma into something that couldn't exist fully in any single reality. "I'm sorry," Strange whispered, "but I can't save you, not without risking everyone else." The entity's anguish pierced his heart. But Strange had made harder choices. He'd condemned himself to endless death in the time loop. He'd sacrificed the time stone knowing half the universe would die. Mercy sometimes required cruelty. He redirected his spell. Instead of gentle closure, he forced the dimensional barriers to slam shut, severing the entity's connection to this reality. Its scream echoed across planes of existence as it was ripped back into the void. The rift collapsed. Reality stabilized. Strange dropped to his knees, gasping, feeling the backlash of dimensional forces he'd just manipulated. Blood trickled from his nose. His hands shook with residual energy. The cloak wrapped around him protectively as Jedi converged. "What did you do?" Mace Windu demanded. "What was that creature?" "A traveler." Strange's voice was hoarse. "Caught between dimensions when I arrived. It just wanted freedom. I condemned it to eternal imprisonment instead." Obi-Wan knelt beside him. "You made the right choice. We couldn't risk—" "I know." Strange cut him off. "Doesn't make it easier." Yoda approached slowly, his eyes ancient and knowing. "Dark side you channeled, light side also, and powers beyond both. Dangerous combination this is, yet worked it did. Lives saved were. At what cost?" Mace Windu gestured toward Strange. "Look at him. The power he wielded, that kind of merger between dark and light, force and mystical arts. It's unstable, unsustainable." Strange struggled to his feet, rejecting offered assistance. "It worked. The rift is sealed. The dimensional barriers are stabilizing. You got your victory." "Did we?" Kit Fisto's expression was troubled. "Or did we just witness proof that you're exactly what we feared? Someone so convinced of their control that they'll use any power necessary. Damn the consequences." "The consequences are calculated." Strange's temper flared. "I knew the risks. I accepted them, just like I've accepted every cost of my choices since becoming a sorcerer. And those costs keep mounting." Obi-Wan's voice carried sadness. "Strange, you're not invincible. No one is. Eventually, the darkness you keep channeling will demand payment you can't afford." Before Strange could respond, alarms shrieked across the industrial sector. A holographic projection materialized. Chancellor Palpatine's face, grave and concerned. "Masters Jedi," Palpatine's voice carried across emergency channels. "I've received disturbing reports of dimensional anomalies in Coruscant's lower levels. Reports also mention Dr. Strange demonstrating unprecedented abilities. I must insist he be brought before the Senate for questioning. His presence clearly poses risks we cannot ignore." Strange's mystical senses flared. Something about Palpatine's energy signature felt wrong, like shadows wrapped in politicians' flesh. But he was too drained to analyze it properly. Mace Windu's jaw tightened. "Chancellor, the situation is contained. Dr. Strange acted to save lives." "Perhaps." Palpatine's smile didn't reach his eyes. "But the Senate has concerns. Concerns I share. We cannot have unregulated power operating in Republic space during wartime. Bring him to me, Master Windu. That's not a request. The transmission ended. Silence filled the chamber. The Chancellor's overstepping, Anakin said quietly. He can't just demand jurisdiction over Force users. That's Council authority. Emergency powers grant him considerable latitude. Obi-Wan sighed. And politically, refusing would create conflicts we can't afford during the war. Strange felt the trap closing. He'd proven himself capable, and in doing so, made himself a threat both the Jedi and the Republic wanted controlled. Dooku's words echoed in memory, pawns to their political masters. What if I refuse? Strange asked. Mace Windu's hand moved to his lightsaber. Then you prove you're as dangerous as we fear. Strange looked at each of them, Obi-Wan's conflicted loyalty, Anakin's understanding mixed with duty, Yoda's ancient wisdom weighing impossible choices, Windu's absolute certainty. They meant well. They were trying to protect the galaxy, but they were also shackled to a system rapidly deteriorating into tyranny, and Strange was about to become either a weapon in that system or a target it destroyed. Fine, he said finally. I'll speak with your Chancellor, but on one condition. I want full Senate access, public hearing, not private interrogation. Windu frowned. Why? Because if I'm going to be judged, Strange said, I want everyone watching. Let the galaxy decide what kind of threat I actually pose. It was a gamble, but Strange had spent months analyzing this galaxy's politics. Palpatine had consolidated power through secrecy and manipulation. Public scrutiny might reveal more than the Chancellor wanted exposed, or it might hand Strange's enemies the perfect opportunity to eliminate him legally. Either way, the confrontation was coming, and Strange intended to be ready. The Senate Rotunda was a monument to democracy's grandeur and its corruption. Thousands of floating platforms surrounded the central podium where Chancellor Palpatine presided, his presence commanding despite his unassuming appearance. Senators from 1,000 worlds filled the chamber, human, alien, droid representatives, all watching as Dr. Strange stood in the defendant's platform, flanked by Jedi guards. Strange's mystical senses had been screaming since he entered. Something was fundamentally wrong with this place, with Palpatine specifically. The Chancellor's presence in the Force felt like a wound covered by pleasant masks. Darkness so profound it created its own gravity, pulling everything toward corruption. Dr. Strange, Palpatine began, his voice carrying fatherly concern. You stand accused of wielding dangerous, unregulated powers during wartime, of studying forbidden Sith knowledge, of demonstrating abilities that blur lines between light and dark in ways that threaten galactic stability. How do you answer these charges? Strange met his gaze directly. In those eyes, he saw something that made his blood freeze. Recognition. Palpatine knew exactly what Strange was, and worse, Strange suddenly understood what Palpatine was. Sith. Not just Sith. The Sith Lord. Darth Sidious himself, hiding in plain sight. The realization struck like lightning. Every political maneuver, every emergency power granted, every step toward authoritarianism, orchestrated by a Dark Lord manipulating both sides of the war. Dooku's master, the spider at the web's center. Palpatine's smile widened fractionally, reading Strange's recognition. A silent challenge passed between them. I answer, Strange said carefully, that I've acted to save lives using abilities granted by my unique circumstances. I'm not bound by Jedi or Sith philosophy because I come from beyond your galaxy. My methods may seem unorthodox, but the results speak for themselves. Senator Bail Organa spoke from his platform. Unorthodox is generous phrasing. Reports indicate you've studied Sith holocrons, used dark side techniques, and demonstrated powers that even Jedi masters cannot replicate. How do we know you're not a threat waiting to manifest? You don't. Strange's honesty rippled through the Senate. Just as I don't know if you're threats to me. Power exists. How it's used determines morality, not its source. I've channeled what you call the dark side, yes, but always in service of protection, never domination. Spoken like every fallen Jedi in history, Palpatine's voice carried regret that felt utterly false to Strange's senses. The road to darkness is paved with noble intentions. This Senate cannot permit someone of your capabilities to operate without oversight. Therefore, I propose Dr. Strange be placed under direct Senate authority. His abilities utilized for Republic security, his actions monitored by officials appointed by this body. Strange felt the trap spring. Palpatine wanted him controlled, either as a weapon or eliminated if he proved uncooperative. The Senate murmured approval, politicians seeing only security concerns, blind to the Sith Lord manipulating them. No, Strange's voice cut through the chamber. I won't be your controlled asset. Then you're an enemy combatant. Palpatine's expression hardened. Operating in Republic space without authorization during wartime. Master Windu, you have jurisdiction here. Arrest him. Mace Windu's face showed internal conflict, but duty won. His lightsaber ignited. Dr. Strange, submit to custody. Don't make this worse. Strange's hands moved into defensive positions. The cloak spread wide, ready for combat. Around the Senate, Jedi activated their weapons. Obi-Wan, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Kit Fisto. They'd come prepared for this possibility. You're all being manipulated, Strange said urgently. Can't you feel it? The darkness radiating from... Enough. Palpatine's voice carried finality. Your paranoid accusations prove your instability. Guards, assist the Jedi. Clone troopers moved into position, blasters trained. Strange was outnumbered, outmaneuvered, facing the combined might of the Jedi Order and Republic military. Logical, tactical assessment. He couldn't win this fight. But Strange had never relied solely on combat. His hands blazed with mystical energy. Instead of attacking, he created a massive illusion, projecting across the entire Senate chamber images ripped from his recent meditations. Palpatine's true face flickering through the mask, dark side energy coiling around the Chancellor like serpents. Glimpses of the grand manipulation, the war orchestrated from both sides. See him, Strange's voice boomed. See what hides in plain sight. Your Chancellor is Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord you've been hunting. The Senate erupted in chaos. Some saw the illusion clearly, others dismissed it as desperate lies. Palpatine's expression never wavered, but Strange felt the Dark Lord's fury spike. Impressive deception, Palpatine said calmly, using mystical illusions to project lies. But see how he tries to undermine our Republic. This is precisely why he's dangerous. Mace Windu hesitated, his Force senses probing. For a moment, Strange thought the Jedi Master felt it, the darkness emanating from Palpatine. But centuries of political trust and weeks of suspicion toward Strange tipped the scales. Your illusions won't save you, Windu advanced. Surrender now. Strange made his choice. He couldn't fight the entire Jedi Order, couldn't prove Palpatine's identity without more evidence. But he could escape, regroup, find another way. His hands moved through complex patterns. The mirror dimension, a technique he'd adapted to Force manipulation. Reality fractured around him, peeling away from normal space. Suddenly, Strange stood in a reflection of the Senate chamber where everything was frozen, crystalline, malleable. From normal space, he simply vanished. Find him, Palpatine commanded, his composure cracking slightly. He cannot be allowed to escape Coruscant. But Strange was already moving through the mirror dimension, running through frozen reflections of the city. He felt Jedi pursuing, their Force presence trying to track him across dimensional barriers. They were adapting faster than expected. He emerged in the lower levels, in shadows where his arrival months ago had created that first dimensional weakness. The rift had sealed, but the scar remained, a place where reality was thinner, more flexible. Going somewhere? Anakin Skywalker stood blocking the passage, lightsaber ignited. Behind him, more Jedi materialized. They'd anticipated this location. Anakin, listen to me. Strange's voice carried urgency. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. I know how it sounds, but my mystical senses don't lie. The dark side radiates from him like a sun. You have to investigate. I sense only lies. Anakin's grip tightened. You're desperate, grasping at conspiracies. The Chancellor has been nothing but supportive, while you've demonstrated exactly the corruption we feared. Strange saw the tragedy unfolding. Anakin's loyalty to Palpatine, his doubt toward the Jedi Council, his susceptibility to manipulation, all perfectly positioned for fall. If Strange couldn't reach him now, the young Jedi was doomed. Please. Strange lowered his hands. Search your feelings. You've questioned the Council, felt their limitations. But Palpatine isn't the answer. He's using you, using everyone. I've seen this pattern before. Tyrants wrapping themselves in necessity while tightening chains. For a heartbeat, doubt flickered in Anakin's eyes. Then it hardened into resolve. You're under arrest, Strange. Last chance. Surrender or face justice. Strange felt the dimensional scar behind him, still weak enough to exploit. One chance. A desperate gamble. I'm sorry, Anakin, for what's coming, for what you'll become if I can't stop this. He thrust his hands into the dimensional scar, ripping it open through sheer mystical force. The rift exploded outward, not sealing reality, but tearing it. Alarms shrieked as space-time fractured. What are you doing? Anakin lunged forward. Buying time. Strange stepped backward into the rift. Tell Obi-Wan I'm sorry. Tell the Council they were right to fear me. Reality collapsed between them. The last thing Strange saw was Anakin's horrified face as dimensional chaos swallowed everything. Then Strange was falling through the void between worlds, through spaces the Force never touched, gambling everything on one impossible hope that somewhere in this dimensional storm he'd find allies, find power, find a way to stop Palpatine before the galaxy drowned in darkness. The cloak wrapped around him as existence shattered into fragments. Strange had made his choice. Now he'd face its consequences. Strange crashed through dimensional barriers like a meteor through atmosphere, the cloak absorbing impacts that would have torn him apart. Reality fractured around him, glimpses of 1,000 possible universes bleeding together. He saw timelines where the Empire rose unopposed, where the Jedi survived, where the galaxy burned under Sith rule, infinite possibilities collapsing into singular moments. Then came impact. He hit solid ground on a world saturated with Force energy, unlike anything he'd encountered. Ancient temples rose through crimson mists. 3 celestial bodies hung overhead, a sun, a moon, and something impossible that seemed to exist between states. Strange's mystical senses screamed recognition. Mortis, the mythical realm he'd glimpsed in Jedi texts, where the Force manifested physically through 3 beings, the Father, the Daughter, the Son, where light and dark existed in perfect, terrible balance. You arrive precisely when needed. The voice carried ages. A robed figure materialized, humanoid but radiating power that made even Palpatine's dark presence feel insignificant. I am the Father, keeper of balance between my children, and you, Dr. Strange, are the disruption prophesied. Strange struggled upright. I didn't mean to come here. I was escaping. You were running from choices. Another figure appeared, the Daughter, embodying light-side purity. Her presence felt like sunrise after endless night. You challenged the Jedi Order, touched darkness, revealed truths none wanted to hear. Now you flee consequences. Not fleeing. Strange's jaw tightened. Regrouping. Palpatine is orchestrating galactic destruction. The Jedi are blind to it. I need time to find proof, build allies, stop him before before the Republic becomes the Empire. The third figure stepped from shadows, the sun, darkness incarnate. His grin was predatory. Before Order 66 activates, before the Jedi burn, we've seen this timeline play a million variations, Sorcerer. Your intervention changed nothing fundamental. Strange's blood ran cold. Order 66, what is that? The clone's true purpose. The father's voice carried sorrow. Inhibitor chips programmed with a single command: eliminate all Jedi. When Darth Sidious activates them, the Order dies in hours. You sensed this truth during your meditations but couldn't articulate it. Images flooded Strange's mind. Clone troopers turning on their Jedi generals, lightsabers extinguished across the galaxy, temples burning. The horror of it staggered him. I have to warn them, Strange gasped. I have to... Return, the son laughed. They've branded you criminal, threat, enemy. Even if you reach them, they won't listen. Mace Windu will strike you down. Anakin will hunt you. You sacrificed your credibility when you channeled darkness to seal the rift. Then I'll find another way. Strange's hands formed mandalas. I'll stop Palpatine myself. Fight him directly. And die. The daughter's voice carried certainty. You're powerful, Strange. Your merger of mystical arts and force manipulation creates unprecedented abilities. But Darth Sidious has spent decades perfecting his power. He's destroyed Jedi Masters in seconds. You would last perhaps minutes before he consumed you. Strange wanted to argue, but he'd felt Palpatine's presence. The Dark Lord's power was abyssal, refined through centuries of Sith knowledge, amplified by galaxy-wide manipulation. Strange couldn't match that, not yet. Why am I here? Strange asked finally. What do you want from me? The father gestured, and reality shifted. They stood in the temple's heart, where a well of pure force energy pulsed with primal power. Mortis exists outside normal space-time. We maintain balance between light and dark across the entire galaxy. But our time approaches its end. The sun grows restless, the daughter weakens, and I tire of this eternal vigil. You want me to replace you. Strange understood with sick certainty. Not replace, augment. The father's eyes gleamed. Your nature is unique, neither Jedi nor Sith, neither light nor dark. You embody the balance we've maintained artificially. With Mortis's power merged with your abilities, you could become something unprecedented, a force for actual equilibrium in a galaxy lurching toward extremes. The sun circled Strange like a predator, or you could embrace what you've been denying. The dark side suits you, Sorcerer. Your pragmatism, your willingness to break rules, your certainty that ends justify means. Stop pretending you serve the light. Join me. Together we could reshape the galaxy according to reason rather than dogma. Ignore my brother's corruption. The daughter's hand touched Strange's shoulder, and warmth flooded through him. You've touched darkness, but haven't fallen. That takes strength beyond most beings. With my power, you could purify yourself. Become the champion the light side needs. Lead the Jedi to victory over the Sith. Strange felt the offers like physical pressure, three beings of cosmic power trying to pull him in different directions. Balance, darkness, light. Each path promised solutions, demanded sacrifice. No. Strange stepped away from all three. I'm not your champion, your replacement, or your successor. I'm a man trying to protect people using whatever tools work. The father smiled sadly. Precisely why you're qualified. Those who seek power are corrupted by it. But you, Strange, you fear what you're becoming. That fear keeps you honest. Fear also paralyzes. The son's voice turned seductive. The galaxy needs decisive action, not philosophical hand-wringing. Palpatine understands this. Why do you think he's winning? Because he acts while the Jedi debate. Acting without wisdom creates tyranny. the daughter countered. The Jedi way may seem passive, but patience has preserved the galaxy for millennia. Rushing toward power, even with good intentions, breeds catastrophe. Strange's head pounded. They were all right, all wrong. The truth existed somewhere between their absolutes, but finding it required wisdom he wasn't certain he possessed. "I need time," Strange said finally. "Time to think, to plan, to understand this galaxy's complexities. Can you give me that?" The father considered. "Mortis exists outside normal temporal flow. You could spend years here while mere days pass in the galaxy. Study, train, master the merger of force and mystical arts without external interference. When you return, you'll face Palpatine at full strength. Or you'll miss your chance entirely." The son's voice carried warning. "While you hide here training, the Sith Lord consolidates power. Order 66 approaches. Anakin Skywalker's fall accelerates. Every moment delayed means more death." Strange thought of the clones, Fives, Rex, Cody, about to become unwilling executioners, of Obi-Wan, who'd shown him patience despite reservations, of Anakin, walking toward damnation step by step, of the millions who'd die as the Republic became the Empire. "I'll return," Strange said with certainty, "but not as anyone's puppet or champion. I'll go back as myself, flawed, morally complicated, willing to use whatever power necessary to protect the innocent. If that makes me neither Jedi nor Sith, so be it." The father nodded slowly. "Then your training begins. But know this, Dr. Strange. When you return to face Darth Sidious, balance will demand a price. Light and dark together create power, but also instability. You may save the galaxy or break it entirely, perhaps both. That's a risk I accept." Strange's hands formed the opening stance of a mystical kata. "I've gambled with reality before. This is just one more bet against impossible odds." The daughter and son exchanged looks, then both smiled, light and dark unified in momentary agreement. "Then let us show you," they said in unison, "what true power looks like when balance becomes weapon." The training began, and somewhere beyond Mortis's boundaries, the Clone Wars ground forward toward their inevitable, tragic conclusion. But when Dr. Strange returned, the galaxy would face something unprecedented. Neither savior nor destroyer, neither Jedi nor Sith. Something entirely new, something dangerous, something necessary. The Force would never be the same. Time moved differently on Mortis. Strange spent what felt like years mastering the impossible merger of mystical arts and Force manipulation, training under beings who embodied the galaxy's fundamental energies. The father taught him balance, how to channel light and dark simultaneously without corruption consuming him. The daughter showed him purity of purpose, how intention could sanctify even questionable methods. The son revealed brutal truths about power, how sentimentality often prevented necessary action. When Strange finally emerged from Mortis, stepping through dimensional barriers back into normal space, only 3 weeks had passed in the galaxy. But he was transformed. His magic now flowed seamlessly with the Force, creating abilities neither Jedi nor Sith had imagined. He could manipulate reality itself, bend space-time, touch both light and dark, while remaining anchored in his core purpose, protecting the innocent. He materialized on Coruscant during the final days of the Clone Wars, as Palpatine's trap prepared to spring. But Strange was no longer the uncertain sorcerer who'd fled in desperation. He carried Mortis's blessing, the balance the galaxy desperately needed but didn't know how to create. The Jedi Order still hunted him as a criminal. Palpatine still viewed him as a threat to eliminate. Dooku and the Separatists remained dangerous variables. But Strange had glimpsed possible futures during his training, seen the paths forward through chaos toward something better. He couldn't stop Order 66 alone, couldn't prevent Anakin's fall entirely, couldn't save everyone, but he could shift probabilities, create alternatives, offer choices where previously only doom existed. The galaxy would burn. That much was inevitable. But from those ashes, something new could rise if Strange played his cards correctly. Standing in Coruscant's shadows, watching traffic streams flow overhead, Dr. Strange smiled grimly. He'd come to this galaxy by accident, an outsider struggling to understand alien philosophies and cosmic forces. Now he understood perfectly. The Jedi and Sith both failed because they saw the Force through limiting absolutes. But Strange had learned something they'd forgotten. Power itself was neutral. Only choices mattered. Darth Sidious believed he'd won. The Jedi believed Strange was defeated. Both were wrong. The real battle was just beginning, and when it ended, the galaxy would know that true balance came not from restraining darkness or embracing it, but from mastering both while serving neither. Dr. Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, had entered the Star Wars galaxy as a refugee. He would leave his mark as its most dangerous wild card, neither hero nor villain, but something the Force itself had never encountered before. A man who refused to be defined by anyone's rules but his own. The Clone Wars approached their climax. Palpatine's grand design neared fruition. But now, there was a variable the Sith Lord hadn't calculated, a piece on the board that followed no predictable pattern. Strange activated his sling ring, opening a portal to where destiny waited. Through it, he could see the Senate building where Palpatine held court, unaware that his carefully orchestrated timeline was about to collide with forces from beyond the stars. "Time to finish what I started," Strange said quietly to the cloak, which rippled agreement. He stepped through the portal, ready to prove that even in a galaxy far, far away, one determined individual could change everything. The future wasn't written, prophecy wasn't absolute, and balance didn't require submission to either light or dark, only the wisdom to wield both when necessary. May the Force be with them all. They were going to need it. May the Force be with you. More stories await.